Hello again, everybody, and I'm back again with another video about Dream, and I know I just made a video about his fandom, but I literally just don't have it in me right now to cover the Call Me Carson situation or anything like it. All the trending topics are just kind of depressing, current events are not my thing, so yeah, I said I'd cover the doxing, and I guess now is the proper time for that. Again, don't go harassing anyone or anything like that, that's not very cool. Anyways, this is probably the last Dream video I'll make unless something huge comes up, because, I don't really care about his speedrun drama. I also said on Twitter that it was a stan who doxed him. That was not correct. It was a group of people that did it and not just one insane kid who found his house via a picture on his Instagram. The fact remains though that Dream was doxed along with his home address. A lot of other stuff was leaked like family information, schools, etc. However, Dream does say in his tweet longer that some of these things aren't accurate information. He doesn't specify which, so yeah. There's also some information about his ex that I literally never knew about until now, so I'll get into that whole thing here. I'll be giving my opinions on everything as I go along. Sorry I sound very tired. I am, but anyways, let's just get this video started. So Dream starts off the document with a brief introduction where he just kind of explains what happened and how he doesn't like putting drama on his main, which is why he's posting it on a second account. The first part, which addresses his doxing, is quite short and goes as follows. Recently, a dox was released by a group of individuals in an attempt to harass and expose me. They said that they did this due to the fact that I was quote-unquote egotistical and that I was not a good person in general. Obviously, whether or not someone is a good person is completely up for debate, but regardless of that, no one deserves to be harassed in that way. This group of people attempted to release information about my family, about me, and about my friends. Obviously, some things were true and others were false. Now, it should be very clear that I do not support Dream's doxing, at all. Doxing is really only okay when the person is an active and proven criminal, and their information needs to be given to law enforcement, and obviously Dream's not out here committing crimes. Some of his fans are, looking at you, people who draw an SFW of minors, but not Dream himself. So I really don't think the reason of being egotistical and not a good person is an acceptable reason to do this. First of all, you really don't know Dream. I personally have a lot of criticism surrounding his behavior, especially revolving around his early reaction to speedrunning drama and his merch shop, but he already apologized for the way he acted in the speedrunning situation, so yeah. And the merch shop thing is more ethics, not personality and whatever. I mainly believe that he can't correctly handle his fame yet because after all, he pretty much dominates Twitter and gained 14 million subscribers in 1 year and is pretty much the top Minecraft YouTuber at this point. Not to mention the intense amount of appreciation he receives from his fans. That's a bit of an understatement, but the point I'm trying to make here is that he has to get used to so much fame so quickly, and he's only been recently getting into drama. Before the speedrun stuff, he was pretty clean of all that, so it's quite understandable that he wouldn't know how to perfectly handle a situation in regards to his platform, and he made a mistake, he owned up to it, that's respectable. Again, even if he was the things he was being accused of, that does not warrant doxing. Just because somebody's being a terrible person, that really does not give you the right to commit a crime and violate their privacy. Anyways, on to the second part of everything surrounding his ex-girlfriend. I personally hadn't heard of any drama relating to this, but it's happened, so here we go. The first 2 paragraphs of this are basically just kind of exposition where he talks about how his ex was really kind and a good person, and the relationship started around 3 years ago, ending shortly after he began YouTube. He talks about how she encouraged him and helped him start up social media, and that how he does still appreciate the time they spent together. The second paragraph details how she struggled with borderline personality disorder, or BPD, along with several other issues. Dream details how she would be wonderful to be around on her medication, yet stopped taking it because she believed that she wasn't herself. He discussed it with her, trying his best to be supportive, but after she stopped her medication, she became very abusive and cheated on him multiple times. Which, if I may interrupt here, BPD is a horrible condition to have, and it's very hard on both the person with it and the people around them. I just want to say that this is not an indicator of how everyone with it acts. It is true that without medication, the condition is harder to manage, but either way, they're not soulless monsters or anything. They just have a condition they can't help, and I really don't want to, see people get the wrong impression off this, because hanging out with people with BPD isn't always abusive and terrible. I'm not trying to say that Dream is trying to paint that narrative. In fact, he goes out of his way to do the opposite. I just wanted to make that a little extra clear. Continuing with the tweet longer, he goes on to say this. Recently, she's been flip-flopping on being positive or negative about me in public and private. A lot of people have tried to paint me as a horrible person based on things she has said. At points in the past, she said that I violated her and that I beat her and I starved her. She has admitted since that all these things are false, and as far as I'm aware, she has told every person personally that these things are absolutely not true. I would not do those things to anybody, and it disgusts me to hear those things said. She told me the reason she said these things was because friends would meet her and be fans of mine, and she wanted them to like her for her, not because she was Dream's ex, so her intention on doing that was to make them all hate me. Obviously, this is incredibly troubling behavior, and I don't condone it at all. However, Dream goes on to explain that this is not an excuse to send her hate, because she's, not in the best mental state to handle that stuff. He really hammers in the point hard, and I really do think that was a good move, because some of these people literally need it stated multiple times as clearly as possible for them to grasp the concept, and I really do respect him, despite everything that he was put through, that he's still just defending this girl and, speaking, nicely of her. Dream then goes on to explain that she has likely been in contact with the people that want to ruin his image and that they've been manipulating her into being so negative about him, saying that a lot of things that have been said are very obviously not true and lead me to believe that she was taken advantage of by the people who really want to do harm to me. I think that people taking advantage of people with mental health issues is a huge problem in today's world, and this is a really good example of that. I truly believe that when my ex is healthy and stable, she is a wonderful person. I agree with him on those last parts, and needless to say, taking advantage of somebody's mental illness to get back at somebody who you hate for pretty superficial reasons is a horrible thing to do, and it really does speak to the character of the people behind this. The exploitation of her mental health is what makes this so much worse, as nobody should be taken advantage of in that way, and, I seriously hope that things can turn out better for pretty much everyone except for the people who did this, so yeah. I don't have a reason to hate the ex or anything. It's very easy to feel angry at somebody because of things they've done due to mental illnesses, but I do believe it's best to try your best to look past that, because more often than not, people have reasons for what they do, and if it's tied to a mental illness, the best thing is to let them learn and change and not try to beat them down further. It's still okay to cut ties with people you may not want to hang out or criticize them, but it's just better if you try to learn where those things are coming from first. In some cases, it can be extremely hard to try and understand, but understanding a different point of view is important, and like I mentioned so many times, mental health isn't an excuse, rather an explanation. People do awful things all the time stemming from mental illnesses, and while that doesn't undo or forgive their actions, understanding somebody is better than, not. By the way, you shouldn't have to forgive people because they have mental health issues. In no way does that, have to happen, because, especially extending into circumstances like this one, you're not obligated to stay with anybody, but you can't just assume the worst of them because of it, I guess. I truly believe that in situations like this, there has to be some kind of conversation had, and maybe I'm straying further from the situation at hand, but talking to people is a good way to try and handle a situation in most cases. This does differ based on who the participants are. I'm not trying to give this out as like a blanket statement for anybody dealing with people who struggle with mental health issues, but just getting out frustrations can lead to a resolution or at least closure in some cases, and I don't know. I'm no therapist, but from my experience, that is usually what works best. Anyways, returning to the document, Dream addresses more claims that she made about him, one being that I don't care about YouTube and that I only do it for money, that I'm going to quit in a year and leave everything behind. To me, this is clearly ridiculous, as YouTube is my passion. I've been doing YouTube since I was around 10 on different accounts, and I've been playing Minecraft about as long. I'm extremely passionate about creativity, and I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. I know she knows this, so I know that this isn't something she believes. Now, maybe this is like a nuclear take or whatever, but I am of the belief that doing YouTube for money isn't always a bad thing. If you want to find a way to profit and YouTube is your best outlet, good for you. It only really becomes a problem when your content becomes low effort, harmful, or generally just annoying, i.e. the people who exploit celebrity deaths or major tragic events for YouTube clickbait. So even if it did come out that Dream only does YouTube for a profit, I frankly doubt that I would care too much, seeing as his content still manages to entertain a lot of people and, doesn't piss on people's graves. I may not find it entertaining, but 15 million people do, and that's okay. Basically, my thoughts are, becoming YouTuber for money, passion, fame, all that is fine as long as your content is respectable. Dream goes on to say that he also spread rumors about his appearance, that he's obese and ugly or whatever, and that he catfished her. Again, people should not be so concerned about Dream's appearance, if you ask me. Like, sure, it's natural to be curious about a faceless content creator's, face, but like Dream says in his tweet longer, people who post fake face reveals are pretty terrible, seeing as whoever is in that image didn't sign up to have their looks torn apart by rabid teenagers on Twitter. The rest of the post goes on about how Dream supposedly had this pact with George and Sapnap, where in exchange for a cut of his pay, they can't say anything bad about him, which is obviously ridiculous because, I don't know, maybe they don't say bad things about him because they're friends and there's no proof to suggest anything otherwise. Anyways, that about does it for this incredibly long section. I'm sorry this went on so long, and wow, I'm like super tired. But anyways, on to the outro. I'd start this like I usually do with like an overall section, but I pretty much said everything I needed to already, so yeah, thank you so much for watching. I am sleep deprived. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like my content. Supporting me is really cool and fun. Follow me on all my social medias. I post art there. They're all linked in the description, and I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.